Good morning, everyone. Make sure that that microphone's like inside my mouth so you guys can actually hear me this week. Dude, welcome. Happy to be here again. So, there is a lot of cool stuff that we have to look forward to, right? We have our lovely Sphinx character that we've been working on for the past couple of weeks. I have I really want to go through and start kind of designing her clothing, just so that she's not standing there all stark. And then I also want to see about possibly designing some sort of, I'll say some sort of underwear. I'm not entirely sure what that would look like, but I don't know, like some sort of lower body dress. And one of the things that I might look at, and let's go ahead and open up an internet browser. Where's my internet browser? There we go. Let's look in and see what we have available to us. Let's look at. I actually want to look at Prince of Egypt. I forgot that Sandra Bullock was in that. I forgot that Ray Fiennes is in that. And Val Kilmer. Man, all sorts of people. Classics. Patrick Stewart was in it? Shoot. All right. So let's look through and see. I specifically want to see. Granted, this isn't authentic, real Egyptian, like ancient Egypt clothing or whatever, but yeah, I mean there isn't really anything there. It's like this graphic element rather than a functional element. Mm, yeah, let me pop open my Bluescape so I have that available for me to look at. Yeah, kind of interesting. It's all very graphic. So it's all just kind of showcasing silhouette of the body rather than actually showcasing anything. Okay. So we won't worry about that. Um, we won't worry about that. But I do want to see. I do have this image here in my Bluescape reference that I do quite like, and this is something that I referenced when I was creating my original. In fact, I don't know if I have my original in here or not. But I love this. I love this. I love this. This is cool. I don't know how old this is. It looks like it's probably pretty old, but I don't know that it's ancient. Um, and then I love this because this feels very much like a warrior sort of setup, which is something that I really like. So we get something like this, you know. So this I'm liking less, but I still have it up there as reference, right? So yeah, I think something that I want to be able to do is something kind of like this. Hey pal, how you doing? So yeah, I'm gonna drag this back over to my other screen. Keep that for myself to look at. And then let's get started on actually making something out of this. So anytime that I'm trying to make clothing for a character, I want to think about kind of what the pieces are. This particular piece, from the reference, it looks like it was just one single wraparound piece. It didn't have any kind of like separation of pieces or anything like that. But I would want to think about possibly having it be something that's actually literally wrapping around her body, and so there are two ends that are overlapping right on her side or something. Um, and I think having it be something that's overlapping on her side could be really cool. So let's start by blocking something like that in. Let's say, let's duplicate this down. We'll come in here to our brushes and yeah, let's just replace it with a ring 3D. Let's see what we have here. Let's go ahead and rotate it down so that it's lying flat. Lying flat and lovely. Okay. And then what I want to do is I just want these like two rings right here. So I'm just going to go ahead and hide that. Stop using the mouse now. It's like sometimes I do that because like most of what I do for work is like like I don't do as much sculpting as I used to. Okay, let's take this, expand and expand and expand. I'm trying to think about like how far down I'd like for this to go. In my reference, it goes down pretty much to the floor. I'm trying to decide if I want to have like a couple different layers and have a base layer that goes down maybe to like lower calf, mid calf, something like this, or if I want to have something that so like something that goes down kind of mid or lower calf, and then something that goes down further past that. Or yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It'll be worth kind of trying a couple things out. Let's see what we get. It could be all right. Yeah, let's go ahead and bring this edge up. Center that, widen it out at the hips. Tighten it in at the waist. Here's something we'll do. We'll go ahead and we'll kind of like shrink it in the front. And then we can take these. Let's not. I was going to go ahead and like tilt them so that it was like fitting. Hey Leonard, hey sis, how you doing? Oh, by the way, I got a second webcam installed, so now I'm down low and I'm up high, So there's the down low, here's the up high. Just kind of fun. Makes it a lot easier for like if I have something that I want to be able to show, like oh, here's my elephant, I can bring it up and I can show it, and it's really easy to showcase if it focuses. It doesn't want to focus. There we go. Good gravy. But yeah, because like we just moved our computers back to Blizzard, so so all my um but they had us keep our peripherals, so it's like kind of crazy. Kind of crazy. So yeah, I have like the extra webcam that I can use. You know, there's my webcam and there's the new webcam, you know. But yeah, so it's kind of cool. So it makes it a little bit easier for me when I'm trying to show things or whatnot, you know. Okay, let's turn on symmetry here so that we're working nice. But yeah, lots of stuff going on. Yeah, let's see. Let's go down to display. Let's say double toil and trouble, cauldron burn and fire bubble. I'm just kidding. Oh, I still need to finish the Black Panther. So I had just recently gone through and started watching Wakanda Forever again for the first time since I went to the pre-screening. Um, Such a good movie. Such a good movie. Okay, so the idea of what I how's the drive to the office? Long. I hate how the focus works. What do you mean? Let me see. Oh, the focus on the camera. Yeah, morning is going good. We were just at the dog park, and now we're at the people park. So you like watching on your phone then, sis? Okay, so with this piece, I'm wanting to maybe make it so that it wraps. I'm trying to decide if I want it to. Let's turn off symmetry. In fact, let's do this. I'm going to say print screen. I don't want this print screen. Why does this print screen? I don't even know what this is. Close snipping tool. Let's come over here, get light shot. Okay. So now I can actually draw on this. In fact, I should just get Epic Pen. Maybe I should just get Epic Pen. So I want this to go in kind of like a wrap. So like this I'm trying to decide it like how closed off I want this area to be. Having this kind of open up like this and then having this kind of open like that could be pretty cool. Um, One of the things that I want to be a little bit more careful of, and I don't know, maybe it's a matter of just kind of like moving this. Let me see. Let me see. I think here's what we're going to do. This piece, maybe we'll take this and kind of like move it up a little bit, which means that we're also going to be moving the breasts up a little bit, which I think could work out all right. But we're going to want to see that proportionately as we're. Um, I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to my document so that I can keep track of ideas that I'm working through in my head. Sitting on the ground with a tired doggo, watching the kids run amok. Gonna need a picture of the pup. Yeah, the dog's, it's a cute dog. Bright blue eyes. Have to mow the lawn before it gets too hot. Yeah, it's gonna get pretty hot today. Sometimes put in a headset and listen to stream while walking around the house. I'm Nico from Israel. I'm about to finish Art Academy and I specialize in character design and 3D sculpting. My dream is to work in game industry. I was wondering if you can suggest where should I send my portfolio in order to get a job as a junior? Everywhere. Send your portfolio everywhere. Um, yeah, be constantly working on it and constantly trying to improve. It's just a matter of always putting in your portfolio, and not getting discouraged with it too, because you're not likely to get the first job that comes to you. Um, I'm going to say slice curve. Let's go ahead and slice that end off. Oh. Yeah, absolutely. Like when you're a junior, you want to make sure that you are doing everything possible. Um, Everything possible to learn, to grow, to get better, but then also to network and to connect um, with other professionals, especially places where you want to work. Um, being in Israel, I mean, there are some cool places over in Israel that do some really great work. I can't remember the names, but they were highlighted in the ZBrush Summit a few years ago, which is awesome. So it'd be worth looking because there are amazing artists over there. So it's a matter of just kind of connecting with those people there, and then trying to branch out and connect with people where you want to be, connect with people just all over the place, all over the place. Yeah, let me see. Cool. Okay. Okay. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say extrude edge. But yeah, it's always important to be networking, to be chatting, to be connecting. Here, you know what? I'm gonna have to stitch this to midpoint. And you know what? It's like too much of a hassle trying to use that specifically to be able to branch out. So what I think I'm going to do, let's do this. Oh shoot. I'm going to delete half of this. And we'll just work on building out a half. Um, my dream is to work in the game industry. Let me see. I was like, what do you mean still? Um, Wish in-person designing clothing snipping was that easy. I'm not available to get my I'm not available to get my Cinema 4D student license. All my fellows get it. The status keeps showing up as unverified. I have no idea about that. You'll have to reach out to licensing. I'm not part of the company, so I don't have a whole lot to be able to a whole lot of input on anything to do with licensing and things like that. So yeah. Let's see. Okay. Let's kind of get this to slide up. I'm starting to try to get this to wrap in a way. I'm trying to decide how far I want it to wrap up. And I'm also trying to decide if I want it to have some sort of opening. Maybe I'll have it like as like a two-part wrap, because then it could have an opening in the back for the tail. And it's like if I have it as a two-part wrap, I'm curious what that would look like, if that would be too complex of a shape. Too complex of a shape for the clothing, and be adding too many breaks in the silhouette. Um, but on the other hand, it could look kind of cool. So it's one of those things. Maybe I'll keep myself open to that possibility. Let's see what else we can do with it. Kind of pull this back a bit, pull this back a bit. Yeah, I don't know. So I'm just trying to get a little bit of an idea about what this might turn into. I'm trying to see about playing with the way that this kind of drapes off like that. And then right here is kind of a good spot where I could create like an edge loop kind of going down and around. The There are a couple of easy-ish ways to be able to do that. I could either come over here and I can say, let's extrude this out, let's extrude this out, and we can just connect them together. And let's say stitch to midpoint. Something kind of like that. There we go. Now that's all connected. Just make sure that everything's connected. It looks like it is. Although for some reason it's like everything kind of disappeared. Or at least the topology did. something like that. And then what we can do is we can just go ahead and we can say, you know, once we get this this kind of filled out, let's say extrude edge loop, start bringing it down, tap Alt to be able to fill in the whole partial edge loop, stitch those together. One thing that I'm going to want to do is I need to make sure, because like this is really spaced out. There will be a point down here, probably a couple of points actually, where I add in a couple of I'll say transitions, because this is like way too spaced out for me. And so I need to make sure that this is, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of space this out a little bit better. Just kind of space things out as evenly as I can going around. And I want these to be going down straight into the end here. Let me see. Yeah, lots of stuff to kind of think about. But yeah, anytime anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. There we go. This needs some aligning, but it's not too bad. Is there a particular outfit you're referencing? No, I'm referencing a few things, and I'm trying to make it up based off of what I'm seeing. I want something that feels Egyptian without, because like you know, there's only so much reference that that we have of what clothing was actually like in ancient Egypt. And some things, like even some clothes that we have, we don't have full reference of what, you know, how things were used or whatever, because, you know, cameras, they weren't around yet. So it's one of those things of trying to pick whatever reference you can find, and then trying as hard as you can to kind of make it up as you go along. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take slice curve, drag right through there so we get a straight line right there. Oops. Right there. Right there. I'm going to go ahead and like bring my smooth intensity way down. Oh, you know what? Let's mask that out so that it doesn't move. I just want to kind of relax these points out so that I get a nice, yeah, a much smoother, um, smoother everything. Just really helps to cozy those points out, because then it simplifies the shapes. It makes it so that it's not as faceted, so that the new points are kind of worked into the design, etc. Right? Really simple. Just trying to keep things simple, keep it clean. this is a little bit out there. Okay. So now here what we want to do, let's go ahead, let's delete I'm going to say insert single edge loop just to be able to get this in here. And you notice that I kind of put it so that it's up a little higher here and down a little lower here. I'm just trying to get like a good average point so that I can bring it down and kind of average it out by hand a little bit here at the end. That way I have a little bit more consistent of, let's kind of bring this up a little bit here in the back too. I'll have some reworking to do once it's done to make sure that this is more even and whatnot, but we'll keep it as it is for now. Let's say bridge. Control W just to be able to make it so it's all one polygroup. Let's say insert. I'm going to want this to be, let's go ahead and delete up to there. I'm going to say insert one. In fact, we can go through, let's do multiples so that we can get it nicely even spaced. Keep polygroup, something like that. Okay. So one of the things that we'll do right over in this section is we want to consolidate. Okay, so we're going to have, say maybe these three merge into one piece. So let's take this, we'll say bridge edges. So you see now what we're getting is we're getting these edges kind of coming together into one. And I'm trying to decide if I like that or not. Let's maybe have it die down into the bottom. I think that might be a little bit nicer instead of having it die down so much at the top here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Here, let's do this. Let's delete that and delete that. Insert. So let's get 3 faces in there. Say bridge. And then we have this going. Let's go this. Let's go here. Let's kind of cozy this out a little bit so that it's a little bit nicer. Then we've got 3 over there. So here's what we're going to do. Let's kind of slide this up. Slide this up. Let's put insert. So we have these to be able to bridge together. Okay, let's kind of cozy those out just a smidgen. There we go, it's a little bit nicer. Okay, so now to be able to resolve these, I'm going to put in let's say bridge here, bridge here. And then we'll add in an extra edge loop right in here just to make sure that we have sorry, bridge. We'll close that off. So this way we have all of our points kind of meeting an end. Make sure that that's all one single poly group. And now this is working for me. We'll see if we like it later on, but it's working for us for now. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of smooth things out. Do something like that. Pull this down a little bit, pull that down, pull this up. Okay, we're making some progress there. Starting to look decent. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Let's Control-Shift-D. Say deformation, mirror. Let's make sure it's a different poly group just for the sake of, you know, making sure. Let's come up here. We'll say merge down. Okay, so now the thing that I want to make sure that I am doing. Let's go ahead and make sure that this is completely masked out here. I just want to make sure that this is not overlapping here in the front. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that. I think I'm going to keep it so that it's one solid piece, but I quite like how that's looking. So what I'm going to do is, like, I've got this really cool trick here. So ZModeler has been an amazing tool for me in being able to create clothing, be able to create really anything that's production ready. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to do stitch to midpoint. Okay, so get stitch to midpoint, stitch to midpoint. And then I'm going to come down here to the bottom, stitch to midpoint, stitch to midpoint. That way I know that this edge is going to be in the middle. And then I can come over here and I can say stitch hole, stitch that, and that whole hole is closed up now. You want to make sure that you have, you know, 2 on each end so that it's fully closed, like a sincere hole. Otherwise, it's going to read the whole hole as a whole, and that's no fun. I'm going to keep these as polygroups so that I can control things a little bit better. But it's coming along. Something that's worth deciding. And it doesn't have to be decided now, but is coming over here and deciding if I like it to be a little bit longer. I think I like it shorter like that. I think that feels dynamic. It feels interesting. So I'm going to keep it like that. Let's kind of pull this out a little bit so it's not biting into her bum. Because nobody needs that kind of drama. Now we can just kind of smooth things out as we need to. Okay, kind of pull this out. Let's turn off symmetry and we can just kind of focus on this one side. Turn it back on. We'll open up the rear side. And granted, we could just, yeah, I'll let it sit about where it is now. and then we'll add more resolution and help it kind of hug her forms a little bit better. But yeah, that's kind of where that's going to sit for now. And let's go ahead and kind of pull this in because this feels like it's coming out a little bit far. And then if we wanted to, we could also turn on dynamic thickness, so that way it's giving us a preview of what it would look like as a finished piece. I mean, granted, it'll stay looking kind of faceted, but in the very least, it'll be kind of finished. It's a geometry, dynamic subdivisions, turn on dynamic, turn off smooth, turn up thickness. That might actually be too thick. That's kind of nice. Okay, so that's where that'll sit for a little bit. Okay, the other thing I want to try is, like, if we were to come over here, let me select earrings because that's not part of the clothing folder. This is what her body proportions look like. I really like her body proportions. I feel like I've gotten them to a point where I feel comfortable with them. I feel like it feels like how I want it to be. The thing that I want to try to figure out is whether or not I like how everything sits with it. And it might be just a matter of, like, taking this piece. I mean, this is stand-in. This is the old piece from forever ago. It's such a heavy piece of geometry. In fact, maybe what I should do is, like, hit save. We're going to hit save. Then let's say, let's go to ZBrush and just kind of get rid of some of this geometry. Target polygon count, sure, we'll let that be. I'm just going to let everything stay default. Let's just let it do its thing. It's going to get rid of all the materials, but that's fine. Wow, it got rid of everything. And it didn't even really do anything to it. Good gravy. Okay, here's what we're going to do instead. I'm going to say decimation. Let's decimate it down to like 20K. This should, in theory, kind of work. I'm curious how well it'll work, but yeah. Break the CPU. Yeah, I don't know. I might not be able to get around. Let's take it down a quarter of what it is, 250K instead of a million. See if that does anything good for us. Well, it kept things pretty alright. It's certainly lighter, and it took it below the budget too. Nice. It's going to get rid of all our color, but that's fine. Yeah, let's see if we can take this one down to like 500,000 or something like that. Z plugin. Put in 500. Custom. That button right there, that slider, is really cool. So, like, the number that it's got inside of the settings, it refers to the number of thousands of points that you're trying to get the algorithm to cut it down to. So, this is not something that'll be usable in any way, shape, or form, except for as a block-in. Looks kind of cool in white. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of fun actually. Okay. So now to to get everybody caught up who's new to the stream, I'm Steven Anderson. I'm a senior character supervisor on Overwatch at Blizzard. And yeah, I have a lot of fun with everything that I do. Um, I've been live streaming for Pixelogic for 6 years now, something like that. It's been a while. It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy being able to just take time for personal projects. That's my huge motivation for it, is really just, taking time for, something that I want to work on, something that's not work related, something that's, me. So yeah, that'll be a little bit nicer, kind of cleaning this up. It's like I don't want it to cut into the breast, but it's okay. We'll let it be. It's more just blocking. These are pieces just to kind of let you guys help you guys understand what it is that we've got here. In fact, let me open up a folder so that we can see the old picture. I had this project from like 8 years ago, 8 or 9 years ago, from forever ago. And I like it. I like the I like the base idea of it. Um, but it was way messy, and I've learned so much in the last 8 years since I did this. Um, that I wanted to be able to go through and refine it, make it so that it was nice and usable, and I wanted to have a production ready model, and all sorts of things like that. So that's kind of the idea behind what I'm doing right now. Is I took this character and I started redesigning her, refining the anatomy, doing all sorts of things to try to make it so that it was um, more portfolio worthy. um, yeah, it's just been a really fun project so far. So it's really um, just a lot of fun, just something fun. How many times can I say fun? Is it good to use chamfer and low poly for games? Is it a good way for optimization, or can I leave the hard edges? It's So you're going to want to think about what type of game you're doing. If you're working on something that's like, say for instance on Overwatch, a lot of times, I guess it kind of depends. It depends on how big the piece is. If it's a big prominent piece on the character, and you're wanting to make sure that is creating kind of a lighting change, and you're seeing that bevel there on the machine, on the part, um, then yeah, you're going to want to model in those bevels. But if it's something that is small, it's not very prominent on the character, you're not going to see it a whole lot, then sorry, my Lozon just kind of biting into my lip. Um, then it's something where you're going to want to um, leave it as like a single edge border, single edge, and then any kind of chamfer information you're going to want to just bake in. Um, but yeah. Hey, Zerchan. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. If you decimate the mesh before applying the dress and use the insert mesh decimated. I'm not sure I understand that, Jen. Is this character inspired by the Egyptian culture? Yes. Yes, she is going to be. She is the guardian of the scrolls. Um, yeah, she'll be pretty cool. I'll have to get into. I mean, there's a lot left to do on her. She doesn't have topology yet. She doesn't have anything final at all yet. So we're just trying to go through and design what we can. Um, kind of want to just. I don't know. I feel like the collar is going down too low on the neck. I kind of want to take it up so it's up higher here. Let me do that. I'm going to say it's kind of fun. It's like this is one of those practices that's just it's just a matter of kind of always looking at what it is that you have and trying to figure out where you want to take it. Turn off symmetry and let this be kind of a help myself clean it up a little bit better. So I just want to make sure that the flow of the piece is a little bit nicer. It doesn't have to be like super clean or anything, but in fact, this might be a point where it's good to go through and just kind of create a new new piece. Not like entirely detailed out like this, but kind of a block in that'll allow me to um, kind of bookmark the space. Here, let's go through. Let's get the topology brush. Okay, so that's going right down the center right here. Let's get one going down the back. Okay. I'll clean up the shapes after I've committed it to geometry. There we go. This needs to be full square here. I'm just going to start to kind of build things out as much as I can. So you can see it's starting to, these orange squares represent squares in your geometry. So this is going to be very clean, very simple piece to represent what it is that we want to be able to block in as a shape. Yeah, let's try this one again and get it to go more into the center over here or something. That's not quite right. Oh well, one more try, and then if it doesn't work, that'll work. You'll notice with this that in this particular example, I'm trying to keep my brush pretty large, and you'll notice that like all the segments in this and these curves, they're very large, right? So you're getting that black orange alternation happening, large segments. Um, so this is just a way of being able to make sure that it's keeping everything pretty simple. If I have the brush too small, there's a big chance that those sample points are going to hit in the random places that, random places that I hard to access, hard to control, whatever. Um, so this just makes things a little bit easier. Yeah, see, like so, I'll just keep it the way it is, and then I'll bevel that or something. Kind of bring it down the draw size to 1 and tap, and there's our new piece. So let's say subtool split unmasked. Okay, so something that I was thinking about that I want with this. Yeah, let's go ahead and kind of move this in a little bit. I want to expand the collar out by quite a bit. Like I want this collar to feel like a really major statement on this character. The other thing I want to do is get rid of the creases. Whenever you commit geometry like that, it'll go ahead and it'll create creases right down the center, um, that dividing line between the two halves. PlayStation. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and say geometry, crease, uncrease all. But I actually kind of want to do Control W, so we have like an upper and a lower, so like the collar around the neck and the collar around the shoulders. I'm going to say crease PG. Yeah, let me see. How have you improved your stylization design choices since the original piece 8 years ago? So a lot of it is going to be kind of anatomy choices. I can't remember if I kept the old head or not, because the head could be a good example. Um, yeah, played with eyebrows a little bit too. It looks like I might have gotten rid of the old pieces. Yeah, I got rid of the old pieces. Um, but let's see if we can pull this up. Put this right here. Let's grab this image here. Kind of shrinkify it some. Oh, I didn't want that. Okay. So part of what I wanted to experiment with is making her feel more fantasy driven. Okay, so I went ahead and played with an elongated ear, um, whereas before it felt more like a prosthetic ear on a person. I wanted to try to um, avoid it feeling human. I want it to feel more of like a fantasy creature, a fantasy sphinx. Um, so that's kind of the direction I tried to take her in. I also tried to take the anatomy and simplify it down to the base forms, which is where I was able to get it to here. I was able to clean up things like the nose and the nose to mouth transition, make it so that the anatomy and the cheeks and everything feels a little bit more um, in tune with what you'd actually see on a cat, while also trying to push some human-like qualities. Strengthen the eye anatomy. You can see like over here. I mean, it's got a cool idea to it, but it's very Um, it's messy. It's a cool idea, but it's not refined. It's not controlled. There are a lot of things that I've learned in the last 8 years. um, I mean, in the last 8 years, I've gone from being, a junior artist to a supervisor, and seen kind of workflows at many different studios and learned from a lot of different people. And I think that, um, I mean, there's still a lot to do on this character, but I think a lot of what I'm trying to look for and look at is ways to be able to take, um, like for instance, at Marvel. At Marvel, I learned a lot about shape dynamics, um, and trying to get like, for instance, I've got the way that the neck kind of goes and flows out the back of the head. I've got like that nice kind of cranium shape here, wrapping over the top into the brow. So like this it's got a nice kind of flow to it, and then it has this break going down. It's this gentle curve down to the tip of the nose, and then this curves down into the mouth, and then down into the chin, and then down into the neck, and down. So it's like I'm trying to create this dynamic flow that feels gentle, that it feels contrasted. Like this is a hard curve, this is a gentle curve, and then it's like these little breaks. Okay, these straights against curves to try to make shapes feel more dynamic. Um, there's a lot going on with her that I feel like is really really starting to work. Um, I tried to take a lot of what I learned, especially at Marvel, and put that into things like the arm anatomy, into the structure of the musculature for the torso and back, um, the hips and the leg. Here, let me turn off the clothing again so we can talk about that too, because the anatomy is a huge reason why I wanted to kind of redo this project. And in fact, I think that there are still some, like, I feel like this is going in too far, but um, we'll see about fixing it at some point. Yeah, maybe right now since we're here. Um, yeah, I felt like that was going in too far, but it certainly feels a little bit better. Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's a balance. It's a balancing act of a whole bunch of different things. In fact, the color from the arms isn't blending into the body at all yet, but whatever. I wanted to try to figure out, blending human and feline anatomy, you know, try to make her feel like a good mix, because I felt like making her feel like a good mix was going to help her feel like she's this mythical, fantastical creature, um, something that feels relatable, something that feels um, both graceful, because I wanted her to feel feminine, I wanted her to feel appealing in that sort of way. Um, in fact, I kind of want to turn off the arms for a second here. It's a little bit off here. That feels a little bit better. Okay, bring the arms back. um, but yeah, I wanted her to feel graceful, but I also wanted her to feel powerful. So like I have some muscle kind of sculpted in there. Not a ton. I don't want her to feel like a bruiser. I want her to feel like she'd be agile and capable in all sorts of different little ways like that. Um, in fact, since we're here, might as well go ahead and say color spray. We'll say color down low. Turn off Z-add, turn on RGB. Let's turn that down pretty low so we can kind of just blend some of that color in there. Doesn't have to be a whole lot, but I do want it to be a little bit so that it feels a little bit more connected. Just kind of give it a little bit. Doesn't have to be a whole lot. Cool. Okay. Turn the clothes back on. So yeah, lots of back and forth on like what I want to do with this and what I feel like I'm learning and I mean that's the thing is like even though I'm really starting to progress in my career the way that I want to, in order to continue progressing, I need to let me turn that camera just a little bit. In order to keep progressing, I need to make sure that I continue learning, that I continue growing. Otherwise, I'm sitting still. And I definitely don't want to be sitting still in this industry. It's easily one of the hardest things. Okay, let's go ahead and say bevel edge complete. Or you know what? Let's just say Control D. Let's say geometry, delete lower. Oh, hey, look at that. Let's say modify topology, mirror and weld. Say crease. Let's get rid of this creased edge loop right here. Okay, good. That one's uncreased as well. Control D. There we go. That's better. Like the points hadn't completely welded together. it's like what good are you to me? Okay, I just want to make sure that this isn't breaking through the body. Now, something I want to make sure that I'm aware of and careful of is that this shape is going to need to stay really, really tight to the character's body because the anatomy of the character is a huge motivator for the final shape that I want. And so I want to be careful that I'm contributing to the silhouette in a way that is helpful to the character. Okay. I'm going to do this other thing here too because I really like. Let's grab the topology brush again. Let's turn on symmetry again. You know what? Let's turn off that collar. My stomach's a growling. Get gravy. I'm not certain. Oh, there we go. I see why. I think. Here, this might be a time where it's good to use a smaller brush. Doesn't have to be a whole lot smaller, but you can see like this gives a lot more control over kind of where things land. And it makes it easier to connect points a lot of times too. Drag that across, drag that underneath. So you can see that's much more efficient at grabbing onto those points. Something like that for now. Okay, bring our draw size down to 1, commit it. We'll say split it, unmasked points, boom bada boom bada boom. The anatomy feels great. Thanks, Matt. Newbie here. Let's say I created a belt using a rectangle and added some bumps and deformations using brush. How to keep the depth equal and curves perfect curvy. There are, hold on a second. There are a few things that I feel like are, like for the most part, generally when you're sculpting on something, it's not going to allow you to keep things nice and smooth. It's not going to allow you to keep things nice and consistent in thickness. Um, I mean, the closest I can think of is getting this backface mask turned on, which means, yeah, for instance, let's come over here into, come on you. There we go. Okay. So like say for instance, I have this piece here. I'm going to say clay buildup because this is a good one to show it on. So I'm going to go ahead and sculpt a little bit here, but you can see it's changing my back. I can turn on my back face masking and I can sculpt, and it's not going to affect the back side of it. So there's that. Let me see. The one of my favorite things though, like say for instance, the standard brush, taking it with its standard functionalities here. One of the nice things about the standard brush is like using clay buildup, it's going to go through and it's going to kind of, oh, here, let me turn the back face masking back off. It's going to really collapse things down. It's going to make things really dirty. Okay, it's not a very good, happy feeling here. You know, it really compresses these things down. Um, but if you were to use the standard brush, yeah, you can go through and it'll pull on the back side, but it'll try to maintain its thickness. Um, you can see like it's going through and it's pulling on that, and it's not clamping those things down, making it thinner. It's just adding volume to it. So it's a really neat thing. Um, definitely worth playing around with and experimenting with. Okay, let's get this blocked in here. There'll be a lot of back and forth as I go through and kind of refine shapes and things like that. Since this is just, brand new piece of geometry, there's a lot of cleanup to do. It's just kind of part of the matter of the fact there. Um, However, we're getting close to a point. Let's make sure this is kind of coming out here a little bit. Maybe give it a little bit more of a curve away from the body or something. I think I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at this gesture, this line for this piece, make sure that it feels like it's reacting to a couple of things. I want it to feel like it's reacting to gravity, okay, so that it's, you know, kind of falling away from the body because of the natural pull of the Earth's gravitational pull, right? But I also want it to feel like it's being held up by what it's being supported by. That it's interacting with her body, that it's interacting with the forms underneath it. So it's a matter of being kind of attentive to different surfaces. It's a matter of being attentive to, let's say, Control D. Let's add in another subdivision here so that we can, oops, so we can kind of fill that out and cover her up. But yeah, it's a matter of really asking yourself questions of where is it pulling from, um, where is it coming from, what forces are acting on it, um, where should I feel tension, where should I feel, let's go ahead and turn that back on. That feels like it's going a little bit too much, like too parallel. Let's see, let's do something kind of like this. Let's say color fill object. Just to kind of keep everything consistent for now. Now, one of the things I think I would like to do with this is I kind of almost want this to, like, I need to think about kind of like how this is resolving. Okay, I don't want this to just go up and just kind of just cover her breast. I feel like that doesn't feel very, I don't know. And in fact, I mean, it could be worthwhile. It could be worthwhile to actually build these into this so that this is kind of like going in, wrapping up. Maybe it's attached back here or something. But essentially, like the front piece, since this is wrapping up in front, maybe this is coming up over and becoming part of this. Sorry, it's part of this, and this piece over here is wrapping up and coming part of this. Um, welcome back, Leonard. Luigi's back. Do you think ZBrush should need a proper manual retopology tool, or is it already good enough? I actually use ZBrush for my retopology. There are things about it that aren't quite. It's not complete to me. Um, like it's like if I'm working on a piece that's really tight, like really tight areas where the points are really small, and I need to make sure that the topology is very clean and close together. A lot of times those pieces will kind of auto vert weld together, and I'll lose my edge flow, I'll lose a whole bunch of different things. So I'll usually start my topology off inside of ZBrush, and then I'll finish things inside of Maya. Um, but yeah, I really like ZBrush as a retopology tool. It's super helpful. Here, you know what? Let's go over here. Let's say geometry, the crease tolerance up to 180 means it's going to crease the outside edges. Let's hit crease. So now we can go ahead. Yeah, we don't have to worry about the middle line being creased. We can say Control D, and we'll leave it at that. You know what? Some of this topology feels like it's a little bit too spaced out. So let's do a little bit of an evening out pass, just so that we can say that we've got a little bit more even of topology. And I just want to look for squares. They don't have to be the same size square. Obviously this square is smaller than this square, but I still want to try to even things out and make sure that I have squares. Yeah, that's nice. Nice little square there. Something about right there. Something about right there. The reason I'm doing it like this instead of sliding my edge loops is that I feel like I have a little bit better control over the volume. Like by sliding the edge loop, I'm kind of at the mercy of however the edge loop actually behaves. Okay, let me see. Okay, so that's that final edge loop right there. I want to take this, let's say collapse poly loop, kind of collapse that up so that that's, you know, collecting. This, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll see what we can do. Let's go ahead, insert single edge loop, same thing. Get that going on in there. That feels pretty good right there. And this might need to just kind of spread out a little bit. I don't think I'm going to be able to get this to be absolutely perfect. So it's going to be just a matter of taking this and kind of sliding this down, cozying it in. And I think that works. Did you finish mowing your lawn, Leonard? I wish I had a lawn. It's like we're looking at possibly moving to Irvine, and it's not an easy to afford place. Let's go ahead and slide this down, slide this down, slide this down more, slide this up some. Oops. Sorry, I'm like super quiet and getting into the getting into the workflow. You have to redo the sprinklers. That's not fun. I was gonna say it's fun, but it's not. That's fun. Do you have any advice for getting an entry-level character position? I just graduated last month. apply everywhere. um, yeah, it's going to be one of those things where you're going to want to apply to anywhere you feel okay working. um, because a lot of times the work that'll come to you when you're early on in your career, most of the time it's not going to be like the great big amazing studios that everybody is like super competitive for. And a lot of times people will miss out on really good opportunities at smaller places, um, because they're too focused on the big places. So I would say, make sure that you're applying to, yeah, apply to where you want to work, but also apply to other smaller places too. Um, love you, sis. Have a good day. Take luck. Let's grab this and kind of pull it down a little bit. A little bit more. Cool. Okay, that's looking much, much nicer. It's like, I really like the way that was kind of tapering in, but I feel like it was, yeah, it's kind of, let's do something kind of like this. Now, one thing I'm trying to keep in mind, I will probably actually straighten the tail out. Not entirely sure like how straight out I'm going to have it point, but I'll probably straighten the tail out at some point. And the reason is that that's how it's done for production most of the time. Um, so yeah, it's just a matter of trying to make sure that I have everything in as neutral of a state as possible. Ah, I hate it when that happens. This little bit here is sticking out in kind of an awkward way. Yeah, I want this to feel like a really light linen, so there are going to be some, in fact, maybe like kind of keeping that out just a little bit could help it feel a bit more relaxed. Get this to come in a little bit more. Yeah, I'm always trying to trying to work around and figure out getting this to feel just a little bit closer. But so far this is working out really nicely. One of the things that one of the things that I want to make sure that I'm thinking of is that if I do want this to feel like this is one piece of cloth going up and wrapping around the chest, I want to make sure that this feels bunched up, that it feels like it's cloth that's kind of been pulled up, and it's like you're getting like wrinkles from all the cloth kind of bunching up into that small area. So that'll be kind of nice. Um, yeah, drought definitely has been taking a toll, but it's nice too that we had so much rain over the winter. We don't usually get so much rain. Um, okay, two questions, and they're good questions. What do you like to see in a character artist portfolio? Um, you want to see that you can manage recreating somebody else's design. Okay, it's important to be able to see that. It's important to see that you can solve visual problems of like. In fact, let me pull up a specific portfolio that I think you guys will enjoy. For some reason, it's not pulling up the internet when I click on it. It's like just open it. This is my thing. Yeah. So for anybody who's interested in being able to find my links, my sites, my things like that, my socials, you can check it out right there. Um, let's dive into this though. Let's say Dry Fernandez. Here we go. Okay. I don't know what dry is short for, if it's if it's even a male or female or who it is, but this is one of those pieces that I refer to a lot, and I always showcase it in my Gnomon class because it's absolutely phenomenal. Um, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Max Grech, but this is based on a Max Grech design. Let's see if we can find it actually, because I would love to be able to showcase just how well he took the design and put it into 3D. Because Max Grech is one of those that he uses a lot of 2D cheats and always such phenomenal work. It doesn't look like it's up here. Um, unless he has it unless he has it inside of one of these. It's a big old, like, he has big dumps. Um, oh, that's fun. I like her. That's nice. Here, let's see if we can just look up Max Grech Barbarian. Okay. So it's actually kind of interesting. It's been a long time since I've seen this piece. The um so there are some actual differences between the 3D and the 2D. But you can definitely see how the 2D, the anatomy in the face is like super pushed, and how like everything in the body is super pushed. But I love how Dri Fernandez was able to handle that and be able to figure out asking all the questions to be able to get the anatomy to work just right. And you can see just how pushed this is if you turn just a little bit. Um, Absolutely phenomenal work. So being able to recreate a concept and being able to nail the art direction, being able to make it feel very um, being able to make it feel very refined, make it feel worked out, make it feel like you answered all the questions about like what is actually happening here. It's like he was able to take it and turn it into something very very appealing. Really, really nice. Like super well done. So that being able to tell a story. I don't have a good example that I can pull off the top of my head. Well, let me sign in. It did. Okay, good. I've got a ton of notifications. I haven't even checked for a long time, so it's probably a whole bunch of people that made posts. Um, being able to here, character design. Um, like something like this is super cool because something like Matthias is a good example. He's a really, really good example of somebody who can create really cool character design. The God of War stuff. Um, okay. Um, oh, she's gorgeous. That turned out really, really nice. Let me see. A few things that you want to be able to do is like things like storytelling, being able to nail cultural aspects, and being able to um, be very particular. This is cool. We'll look at that. Um, EDS really good too. Look at that. Okay, that'll be enough. So this is really cool. You know, being able to create very appealing shapes. You know, being able to use those large eyes, but in a way that actually feels nice. The shape of the head. You know, like large ears. I don't know, like the way that they were able to marry all these elements together. It feels really really cool. Um, Matthias is always just amazing. Um, this character is quite lovely. I love this character so much. Um, but I love like how he's able to create this. Why is that sticky? That shouldn't be sticky. Um, something that I love though is like you can see like the simple folds in the clothing. It's just enough to make it feel like clothing. Um, the face, absolutely stunning work. Let me see. Yeah, there's good. So you can see how it's like very clean transitions from like the folds where it's like these plane changes of getting these forms to kind of like merge into each other. Really beautiful work. Matthias does a whole bunch of stuff that's just absolutely incredible. Yeah, I can close that since we're here. Um, yeah, he does awesome work. He's a good buddy of mine, and I worked with him when we were at Netflix together. It was great. Um, he does a really good job asking himself questions about like getting large shapes, like for instance the hair, getting these large chunks of hair in there, but then also getting little flyaways to kind of break it up. Um, he's able to go ahead and really add in just the right amount of clothing details. He's not worried about creating every little pore on the character, but he is worried about making sure that the forms and the shapes are all there. Um, he's able to go ahead and explore the character and able to show like emotion and what this character would look like um, in certain poses, and able to tell a story with the character. Um, the God of War characters are really nice because they have these really nice balances of layers of detail where you have like lots of detail, lots of detail, lots of detail, but it's also broken up by these areas that are simpler. Okay, so less detail, less detail, less detail, less detail, a little bit more detail, more detail. So he's like breaking it up. Way that you're balancing out colors. Um, of course, if you're going in as a modeler, you don't need to worry so much about color. You don't need to worry about textures. You don't need to worry about those sorts of things. But being able to showcase that and you can understand the way that shapes go together, the way that anatomy flows. Um, like, look at this guy. I mean, he is so interesting. He's not the type of character you would see in a typical portfolio. This is something very unique. You can see like he's got this very unique square shaped head, and then it's like just the way that the beard kind of complements it. I don't know. It's got this flow. It's got these rhythms to it. It's really really nicely done. Okay. Um, it looks like Angela is responsible really just for the textures, but um, oh, and she also got to make the hat and the fur grooms. But yeah, like lots of really really cool stuff, and then you can even get into things like this where he's got like battle damage, he's got scarring, he's got gray hair, like little elements. The clothing is not nice and pristine; it's worn. Um, so you want to think about with story, the worn edges on the clothing. You want to think about what is it this character has gone through, what is it they do for a living? What is it that is it the type of character that bites their nails? Is it the type of character that like little things? What is their age? Just lots of cool stuff that you can do. But you want to ask yourself about who the character is, and that's how you can start to get into telling your story with the character. This character is great. I love the different style to it. In fact, if we were to look at this person, they're a senior character artist. Let's check them out and see what else Guillaume has. Guillaume doesn't want to change. Okay, he doesn't really have a whole lot, um, but that's still a cool piece. Ilya's really really good though. I love his work. Such amazing work. So really great, strong attention to the silhouette and the shape. You can see like even it's super appealing from different angles. The way he's able to kind of control and design the little hair clumps, the clumps of leaves, everything. Super, super nice. And you can see absolutely nailed the concept. Like there is no dispute. This is exactly what it's supposed to be. um, Beautiful, beautiful work. So being able to nail the concept is something that studios are always looking for, is how well you can match a design or a style. Um, so yeah, that's something. So let me see. Let's look at some of his other stuff too. This other barbarian gal, she's amazing. This is based off of a Corey Loftus design. Looks just like it. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. Even down to the render style feels very much like a Corey Loftus design, and just absolutely nailed it. So phenomenal. Beautiful, beautiful work. And see, there's the comparison between 3D and the 2D. Okay, so your ability to be able to kind of match a concept is huge, and that's going to be a big point to address. Um, the other point is uh, story, being able to tell a story, how well you know your character, what you can do with it. Telling story, shapes and forms, anatomy knowledge. But it's not like I can't name muscles. Like I know deltoids, I know biceps and triceps. Um I know pectoral muscles. I know abdominal muscles. I know the latissimus dorsi. I know a few things, but I don't know the muscle names in and out. I'm not a doctor. I am not. Yeah, I don't know. I'm. I don't feel like knowing all the names of every bit of anatomy is important. It's cool and it's helpful, but it's not important. So what I would make sure to do is to make sure that you know the forms, make sure you know the relationships. You might be able to see I have a couple of. Here, let me switch over to webcam view. Keep some anatomy models around. These sorts of things are insanely helpful. These are from 3D Total. You can see like I've got, it's got half skin, half écorché, showing the muscles and the tissue and some of the bony landmarks and things like that. Um, Really, really helpful really, really helpful. They're so nice. Um, and they're not super expensive either. They won't break bank. Um, so so yeah, having things like that are super helpful. In fact, I even have this tiger that I just bought from a friend. Um, Evolucio. Yeah, it's by my friend Tan. Okay, just amazing. B-Tan over at Evolucio is what this is called. He actually works at Industrial Light and Magic, and I purchased this mostly to be able to work on this project here because I wanted to be able to understand a little bit more about the anatomy of a cat, the anatomy of a tiger, and so it's just phenomenal, just beautiful, beautiful detail. Let me see if it'll focus in on that. Focus on the face. There we go. So super, super nice. I really, really love the attention to detail and the way that it just showcases everything so stinking well. But I love this. This is such a helpful thing for me to get and to have. Um, so yeah, I've been referring to this actually quite a bit, especially when I was working on the hands, because I wanted to try to get a little bit of a feel of like feline cats, feline paws into those hands, um, but still retain kind of a human hand type quality. It's fun. It's a lot of fun, and getting good reference like that is super helpful to creating really cool. Uh, Bluescape just logged me out. It's like, why would you do that? I'm literally using it right now. Where can you buy the tiger? That's a good question. I think this is it. Let me see. Yep, this is it. This is the website. So you should be able to see pretty much everything that they have here. Um, they're insane. They are so good. And Tan doesn't do all of it, but he has done several of them. He has done several of them, and they've got everything. Different dogs, different large cats, um, pig. There we go. Um, in fact, they even have like a Jurassic Park um, crocodile. The crocodile is amazing. So you can see here are a few of the participating. Here's Tan right here. Um, I actually don't know the rest of these people. I think this is Crystal. She did the dog. This running dog that was up here. New product review. So lots of really really cool stuff. There's a wolf. I think it's a wolf. Just absolutely phenomenal. Um, really really fun stuff. But yeah, I'll leave it at that. Let me check the calendar real quick. Okay, it looks like the next stream isn't until tomorrow, so I'm not super rushed, but I do have like 10 more minutes. Um, let's close that out. Close that out. I'll leave that up. We'll close that out. We'll close Matthias out. Let's do something like that. We'll keep that up for now. Just in case I want to refer to a really good character again later. um, Yeah, they also have some human anatomy there too. The ones that I have though, if that's what you're interested in, is 3D Total. .com. Is it in the bookshop? Anatomy figures. Let's go into all anatomy figures. Your location is set to this. It's like, thank you. Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll drop that over in there too. I'm pretty sure that they're based in the UK. Though I don't know for certain. Yeah, see, the one that I have is up here. They were a little bit less expensive when I got them, but it was, but they're such useful tools. So yeah, planes of the head is kind of cool. And it looks like they're running they have a discount for buying multiple figures, so kind of cool. Feline anatomy. This is fun. I don't like this one as much as the one that I have, but it's fun. The dog's pretty fun too. Foreign Rights, About Us. Founded by Tom Greenway. Not entirely sure. It doesn't have it listed. Oh well. So yeah. 3D Total. Pretty cool resource. Evolutio, definitely a cool resource. Definitely worth checking out. Okay, let's come back over here. Try to give our lovely lady some more attention here. Now, one of the things I want to try to do is I want to try to make I want to feel the weight of the fabric. You know, I want to be able to feel that this is. It's kind of hide everything so we can see a little bit better. I want to feel that it's being influenced by gravity. I want to feel that it's being influenced by the anatomy. I want it to feel like it's something, right? So that's something that I'm trying to be very, very careful of. Is like I'm trying to make sure that, like for instance, in these areas, like I want it to feel like it has tension. I want it to feel like it has weight. Like right here could be a good opportunity. Let's kind of pull that in toward the center a little bit more. I don't know, it's always just kind of a matter of figuring out the balances, but cool. I'm glad you find that helpful. I wonder if they have any anatomy on mythical creatures like dragons or centaurs. Yeah, I don't know that I've ever seen anything quite like that before. I think I've seen like drawings, illustrations of like mythical creatures like mermaids and things like that and their anatomy, but I don't think I've ever seen um, I don't think I've ever seen centaurs and that'd be pretty dope. I'm not gonna lie. Be a fun exercise, just for kicks and giggles, right? Go ahead and pull that up so that that's matchy matchy. Now with this, I mean, I'm trying to decide like how much I want to build this in to going up around her neck and everything. Um, I mean, either way, I want to make sure that I have like a little chain kind of coming down here in the back. Um, I don't remember if I have a good. Because I know that I was working on making a good chain brush at some point. Oh well, let's see about going in here. Let's grab just as a stand-in. I know that we have. I don't remember which folder it's in. Because here's this chain, but that's not the chain that I want. That's kind of a not fun chain. Most of the times when I have a brush that I need, um, I like to make them myself because I'm kind of particular about about how things look or how things work. Um, I'm I'm feeling kind of like I know that I have one, so let me see if I can just golly load brush. IMM's rope, or my here are my Egyptian beads. Let's go in. Let's see if we can find library must-haves, brushes, SMA. I need to go through and organize this a little bit at some point just to make sure that I have my poop brush. Parade crowd. That was kind of a funny one. Chains. Let's see. Let's see. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. Hole. Let's come over here. I don't need to worry about having a lower subdivision for these, so let's just so there is my little chain that I can pull on and all that now. And granted, remember, this is all like stand-in. I'm not intending on this being final at all. But I do want this to be a lot thinner. Oh, so you'll notice that like it looks really, really fat, almost like a corded rope or something. The reason for that is because it has the dynamic turned on. Like that's what it should be looking like. That's really funny. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm going to say, let's turn that on. I'm going to say split unmasked points. Let's just say breast covers, because that's like back chain, something like that. So now for these, let's go down here and we'll say dynamic. And we'll instead turn this up, turn off the thickness. Now, I think this chain might be a little bit, well, first off, it's not very Egyptian, but that's okay. I mean, we'll make do for now. Okay, so have that kind of coming out, and then something kind of like that. This way we just have something blocked in. I want this to feel like, and you know, maybe it's, instead of having a chain, maybe at some point it'll actually just be a, Rakan, how you doing, dude? Make him chunky. Yeah, Rakan likes thick chains, I guess. I do kind of like the look of that, like the rope kind of look. I think it's kind of neat. I don't know that this is the right application for it, but still kind of neat. Still a little bit of thickness might be good. It feels like it might be a little bit too... You know what, let's, instead of adding thickness there, let's just kind of thicken it up here. That should be decent enough. Yes. Let me see. I mean, at some point I want to give her like wraps around her arms. Not anything like super complicated. Something like that, and it's boom, something like that, and then turn on that local symmetry. Damn it. Come on, you. I want to deflate it some so that it's not quite as thick. Kind of play with it some, you know, make it so that it works. I need to split it off of the arms too so that it's not creating issues for me. I'll try to get this this shape kind of close to the shape of the arm itself. And in fact, if I wanted to, I think one of the other things that could be good is maybe keeping it a little bit more true to itself as a shape, and then like giving an indentation to the arm, you know. It's kind of fun. Let's go ahead and say, not inset, what am I trying to do? Extrude polyloop. Something like that. Sorry, not geometry. Subtool split unmasked points. Let's bring this down into the clothing stuff. Yeah. Serve as her ponytail from her headdress. I'm not entirely sure what you're referring to. I do have hair started, and I had another hair that I'd kind of played with, and I was like, yeah, it's not quite what I want. So I'm kind of going through and playing with that quite a bit here. One of the things that I wanted to do though, yeah, let's come over here. Let's create this. Something like this. Let's go ahead and grab this MRGB color fill object. So I wanted to give this something of a, oops. Like a large, and you know, granted this has a lot that I need to do to it to make it so that it has the shaping that I want. And I'm thinking about making this braid made up of a whole bunch of braids. Yeah, or at least a few braids, you know. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. I'm trying to go through and think through this some. But you know, coming in and getting some shapes kind of worked in here so that it feels like it's got some curl to it. Because I want this to feel kind of almost afro-like, but it's like I'm trying to. I mean, I still need to do some research into some shapes and some things like that to see like maybe what would be. And these are much looser than I think I want currently. But you know, having this with some level of wave or curve or volume will be super helpful. And then having possibly like other hair kind of coming in from the back of the head here, but then also having something like this where I've got let's go ahead and do something like this. Rotate it out. Come here, let's say flatten. Make sure that symmetry is turned on. We can flatten that in. Accept. Scale it out. Come here, you. Come here, you. Come here, you. Okay, taper it in. Gonna change something like that, more or less. Then just kind of like thin it out some so that it's fitting. So yeah, I was thinking about something kind of like this. Just for the sake of blocking it in, having it so that it's semi-workable. there are a lot of shape things and everything will get worked out as I figure out exactly what this is going to be. Um, but yeah, this is kind of like the main idea for the hair that I was wanting to try to play with. Yeah, we love hair. I know you want to come work on this hair for me, don't you, Rakan? Yep. Rakan is the hair master. It is his favorite thing. It's fun. I'm wanting to try to possibly do some sort of headdress, but I'm not entirely sure what that'll look like yet. I've got a lot of design stuff I need to work through. Um, Let me see. But yeah, we know you like hair, Rakan. I'll have to tell Gotch that you were asking to do more hair, you know. You're doing hair now too, Leonard? Yeah, only if it got two versions. It makes a little bit more sense if it's if you're not having to do like six versions of hair for a character. You know what? Let's do this split unmasked. Bring this down. Hold shift. There we go. And I also want to give this a little. I actually probably don't give it a taper. Um, let's go ahead and it's like I'm wanting to make these bangles. But I don't want them to feel like super warped because there's this really beautiful, graceful aesthetic to Egyptian bangles. This needs to be bigger though, and maybe even like bigger on her wrists, so it's not so tight. Oops. Oh, come on. I think my head is going to explode. 3D hair artist, official title. Okay, so we've got some elements blocked out on her now. I think I'll leave her feet as they are. I thought about also giving her some sort of shawl, which would be a similar, maybe not quite like this, but something that kind of comes out from the center and drapes over the shoulders, over the arms. I'm not entirely sure I'll do that anymore, but I don't know. Could be interesting. Handle, see how the royals during the time period handle dress, wear, and design because of what was before time shifted. Yeah, so yeah, to an extent. I mean, the ears are large to kind of mirror and reflect what's going on in the rest of the body. Because I'm wanting it to have more of like a graphical fantasy sort of element to it. Um, I I do want to think of some sort of headdress, but not something big. I want the ears to kind of be what's creating the dynamic shape in the head. Because I feel like if I start to rely on a headdress to create a dynamic character, then I feel like I'm starting to lose some of the strength of the design. So that's kind of my thought process there. Um, so I mean things like even the design for like this stuff right here, I need to still kind of work on this because it's um, not flowing quite the way that I would want. It's like it's like it's coming out and then in, and I think I need to have it so that it flows more directly up. Um, just help it to feel a little bit more streamlined. I feel like that's already a lot better. Makes it feel a little bit less awkward. But yeah, there's a lot to kind of think about when when we're working on these sorts of things. Yeah, let's hide half of it so we can get the other half to be more or less the same sort of idea. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Yeah, so something like that's kind of starting to work. I'm going to go ahead and break symmetry on this bit here. Um, I mean, it'll have to be broken eventually anyway. Um, but I think now feels like as good a time as ever. Just go ahead and kind of pull this in a little bit. Have this one come over and kind of lap in front of it maybe. Okay, so needs to be a little bit stronger there. Okay. Because see now this is starting to create that overlapping effect to kind of reflect the idea of the lower cloth pulling up into the higher cloth. So that's nice. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not totally sold on the hair, so it's something that I'll have to kind of reflect on and figure out, decide if it's something that I like or not. I mean, it might be a matter of like taking it and giving it more of like a more of a bell shape or something. But then it feels like a lumpy sack, so it's like I'm wanting to try to. Yeah, let's do something. Let's go ahead and select this. And let's do my little trick for for fluffy hair, just for the sake of having it be stand-in, but it's it's still helpful. Let's come over here to noise. Got to come over here to noise 38. Let's come down here to surface noise. Let's say edit. Let's say frame. Okay, so this right here, we don't need any color. That's absolutely not great. Okay, so this is good. And we could take this extra noise isn't really super important, but having it in there is helpful. So we're gonna leave it about where it is. We'll say this. We'll say apply to mesh. We'll turn the noise back on, and we'll say mask by noise. We'll just kind of go through with like the inflate brush and hold Alt and just kind of puff that in a little bit. And then we'll use the move brush. Don't know where my noise went to, where my mask went to just now. It's not high enough resolution. Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna smooth this out twice. And that should be a lot more, like it'll take the detail much better. So you can see now we're starting to get more of like that hair sort of look. Nothing too complicated. I don't want it to be I don't need it to be anything super insane. All right. Let's kind of inflate that out just a little bit. Do I have any beginner tutorials on blocking in shapes? I have an entire series about building a character for production, which includes blocking in. It's a very, I mean, it's much more, like I talk through the process a lot more on my tutorials than I do on my stream. On my stream, I do talk through it quite a bit, but I feel like in my tutorials, there's a lot more of like a what's it called? Like a shoot, like process and walking through process. Wanting to bring your 2D skills into ZBrush. Can you imagine the lice back when times were so early on in hair, no shampooing things? Actually, I don't use shampoo most because it dries out my head. But I've never had issues. I'll rinse it with water, but it's a matter of like shampoo doesn't treat me very well. My skin doesn't like it. Trying to decide how much I like this. Let's give this kind of more of a full shape. Instead of being like a strict pyramid sort of shape, I want it to be kind of, in fact, that could be kind of interesting. You know, trying to make it so that it feels a little bit more. I don't know that I want to make it like a tri-pyramid because the pyramids have like a four-sided base. Yeah, shampoo's kind of an interesting thing. Yeah, let's see. Let's pull up here underneath my website. You should be able to access everything. I've got my Flip Normal store, and I've got my ArtStation store. I do have things on my own website as well, but on here is where you can go through. It looks like Flip Normals is holding is holding a sale. So it's 50% off, it looks like right now. So that's kind of a cool thing. So yeah, go check that out. And this is the full series. So this is like, you know, instead of being a full $400, it's now $200. And what that entails, and let's click into it. I should hopefully have more pictures up than just, okay, good. So everything. So this goes through, you know, I even have like a little bit on creating clothing because mermaids don't have clothes. Yeah, Henning actually is, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Henning. It might have been Morton, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Henning. He reached out to me to be able to, you know, like, hey, come and participate on our platform. I was like, okay, cool. I even talk about prepping things for 3D print. In fact, I have her. Let me switch over to webcam view. I'll show you my mermaid because she's fun. I really like my mermaid. um, you can kind of see her there, how big she is. She was quite a crazy project. But yeah, it was based off of a design that a friend of mine did. It's a really fun. Oh, pushed her too hard. Please don't break. Okay. All right. But yeah, based off of a design that a friend of mine did, and it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So yeah, there's that, being able to prep it for 3D print, going through the full process. Here's my block out and making sure that she has all of her elements just ready to go. Yeah, he did used to use Moto a lot. But yeah, I talk about going through the full process of blocking it out and blocking it out against the concept so that it has the right proportions, the right shapes and everything. And then being able to take that block out, move it into a neutral pose, being able to create full topology. That can't be the last picture, is it? Oh, and then I also have like a little bit on creating facial expressions using layers inside of ZBrush. Those layers are nice because you can take those over into Maya or any other 3D application and use them as blend shapes. So yeah, it's fun. It's really nice. It's a really fun series, and so hopefully hopefully you enjoy it if you end up diving into it. It's been pretty popular, so it's been fun. It hasn't had a whole lot of ratings though, so feel free to kind of dive into it. Oh yeah, and then it's also over on ArtStation as well. So yeah, kind of fun. Kind of fun. Yeah, I think this is probably where I'm going to leave off for the day. I might take. I have no control over hiring artists, um, but that's funny. um, no, completing the course is not enough to be able to get that kind of position. Um, but it is enough to be able to enhance your skills to a point where you could be very competitive for those sorts of things. It's a matter of applying the principles. It's a matter of diving in, because I go through and I talk a lot about design principles. I talk about um, techniques. I show the full process, real time speed. So it's a matter of, like, skipping through as you want to, watching and really diving into parts that are of interest to you. Um, which of your tutorials you would say start here? Yeah, well, starting here, starting on streams is definitely a good way to be able to a good way to um, yeah, get access to free content. Let me see. I actually kind of want to lighten this up a little bit. Maybe change its color some too, just so that there's a little bit of a difference between this and that. At some point, this will be like a cool wrap with, like, overlapping pieces coming in. I'll have to figure out how I want that to look, and then figure out how I want to build it. But yeah, I'll leave her at that. Let's do like we traditionally do with at the end of a stream, and let's go ahead and 120, and then we'll turn on the eyes, or the eyeglass, better said. Yeah, I'll leave that like it is. Oh, not BPR. Let's go back into render, render, redshift. We'll finish off with like a little redshift render so that it looks nice. Um, but yeah, thank you guys, everybody, for coming and hanging out for a little bit. It's nice to have people to chat with and to hang out with while I'm playing around and this stuff. Um, I'm super excited for where this is going. It's like every week there's like just a little bit of progress, but just that little bit of progress is enough for me to be like, haha, you know? Um, so it's fun, it's exciting. And gosh, time to go, I guess. Redshift is one of the best. It's really nice, and I love that it's like super available too now. Dude, thanks for coming and hanging out, Rakan. It's good to see you, buddy. uh, do something fun for the holiday. Do something fun for the holiday. Um, yeah, she'll definitely be printed out. My hope is that someday I'll be able to go through and make her as like a statue print that I can mass produce and sell on my website and things like that. Um, she would not be available as like a 3D like a downloadable 3D file for people to like download and print, because it's like, that's mine. you know um but yeah, dude, have an awesome awesome weekend. Anybody here in the States celebrating Independence Day, have a great weekend, be safe. And then anybody else who is in Canada, happy Canada Day today. Happy birthday to my sister. So many great things, right? Canada Day, hey. Um, Anybody else have a great weekend. It's Saturday. Uh, for me, it's the beginning of Saturday. So have a great rest of the Saturday, rest of the days of a weekend that we have here. So I'll see you next time I see you. Should be next weekend. So have a great week, and I'll see you next time I see you. Smartest out.